All right, welcome back to Musical Musings. I'm Jamie.
I'm Jack.
I'm Cal.
And this week's episode is the song Kyoto by Pheobe Bridgers. So if you guys want to go and check it out in the link in the bio, have a listen and join us when you're done. Okay, that was Kyoto by Pheobe Bridgers. What were you guys' initial thoughts?
I liked it. I liked the vibe. Like you kind of mentioned, is a very kind of happy. At least if you dive more into the lyrics, it's kind of there's a couple conflicting emotions going on, but at least from an instrumental point of view, is very kind of upbeat.
I'm I'm a sucker for trumpet music. It's why I like ska.
I really like that. Yeah, because I didn't expect it to be on a song like that. But
this is where you find out that like Jamie and I have been like conniving to introduce ska into the podcast, starting with this and ending with like the Mighty Mighty Bostons.
Oh my god, that's when I leave the podcast. But
it's just gonna be me.
Yeah,
we'll also just do an entire Real Big Fish album, and then I'll talk to myself.
Yeah. So I love this album because, so that was unexpected. I like that a lot. I was kind of telling Jamie before, just thinking about what you said about my comment about Pheobe Bridgers. I'm not going to say that again, but
hey, this podcast.
I wanted to get into her music.
Mature
That's
audience.
what I was going to say. I wanted to explore her discography. So anyways, this is probably a good entry point. So.
I feel like we gotta give context now at this point because me and Callum are like trying to hold back our laughter.
It just at the beginning, we were like, "Oh, what song have we picked?" And Jamie was like, "Oh, I picked Pheobe Bridgers song." And Jack was like, "Oh, I really wanted to get into it." And just across the room, I just laughed. Like I
you didn't even laugh. I feel like you just had a face, and Jack called you out immediately.
Well, I knew what he was thinking because I've known Callum long enough.
There's something I was saying to Meg the other day. I'm actually very easy to predict. All you have to do is think of like, what is the worst thing you can think I'll say in a situation?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Callum's thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what you said with almost being like pleasantly surprised by the use of horns and stuff. I do really like that because it kind of keeps the song separate, right? Like it might have similar, like a mostly similar sound to a lot of other songs in its genre, but that really sets it apart and kind of gives it its own feeling. And therefore makes it kind of more memorable.
What about the beginning of the song? There was like, I don't even know if I'd be able to pinpoint what instrument it is, but it's almost like some kind of like whistle type thing. Like, I don't even...
Oh, I'll have to listen to it again, actually.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I didn't catch it.
Let me just like quickly play just the very beginning.
Sure.
Yeah, it's something like that. Like, it's not a trumpet, but it's some other kind of
Is it like...
I like that, though.
It sounds almost like a pan flute.
Yeah, it could be.
Like, when you like blow into like the
note.
top of it. Yeah, probably not. It sounds too like sustained.
Yeah.
But it does sound like, I didn't notice it the first time. Maybe it's like a Japanese instrument.
I was going to say,
it
does sound Japanese, and it wouldn't surprise me if she used a Japanese instrument to pay
given
homage.
the title, yeah.
I don't know enough about
Japanese instruments.
Yeah, I know the sound. I don't know the instruments.
Right. Yeah. As far as the lyrics go, I feel like it's just kind of like a day or a week in her life. That's kind of what I got. It starts off with day off in Kyoto, so that kind of sets the scene, and then it's just kind of like, this is how my day went. The choruses, the choruses, I don't know, I'm a little bit confused. I don't know who she's talking about. I guess it's the same person she's talking about in the verses, but there's I feel like she's upset at somebody,
It feels a little bit to me like it's them explaining that, like, it doesn't matter, like, if you're traveling the world in a band, like, you're famous, stuff like that, you still kind of have the same issues everybody else has. Like, they're in Kyoto. They got to go to, like, this cool temple and stuff, but their real life is dragging them back into it. It's like, I end up having to take a call from a payphone.
I like how she says, you call me from a payphone. They still got payphones. It costs $1 a minute. I get what you're saying about that.
There is a line in, I think the song's called Leather Jacket by the Arkells, where the line is like, you called me up from a payphone. The last line of the song is like, who the fuck uses a payphone?
Yeah, that's kind of the same vibes in this song.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was going to say, my interpretation is for who she's talking to. I can only assume that it's an ex who she. What are you laughing at? The sheriff's. I was like, I didn't even say anything funny. Anyways, she's talking about. She says after the payphone thing, she says to tell me you're getting sober and you wrote me a letter, but I don't have to read it. So I almost think that this song is almost her responding to this letter that she's gotten from someone, and I can only assume that the letter is part of like a 12-step program, maybe for someone who has decided to get sober and they're, making amends or whatever the case is. And she's talking about how she doesn't forgive this person, but at the same time, she says, please don't hold me to it, which my interpretation is I'm saying I don't forgive you, but I've got a weak spot for you. So like that might not always be the case. But yeah, your interpretation was good too.
Yeah, your idea was cool too.
That's not how I meant it. I know.
I
just felt like I didn't think of it that way.
But it's cool that you think that.
You're wrong, but it's still interesting.
You're wrong, I'm right. End of podcast.
Yeah, it just seems very, I don't know what the word is. It seems almost very like carefree, it's just like shit happens, but I'm just going to vibe in Kyoto and just kind of go about my business.
This is why I really like doing this podcast with you, because you and I always read things exactly the opposite. Because I kind of thought of this almost like, it's not like, oh, well, like I'm just relaxing, whatever. I thought of it like, you ever have it like, well, you're in a slump or something like that, and somebody's like, you need a change of scenery, and then it's just like, it doesn't help. It's like you could be in like across the planet like she is, like on the other side of the world, seeing incredible things, and it's like you still aren't happy. You still get that sense of like, it's like, oh well, I'm at this awesome temple, but I guess I'll go get a slushie or something. Like it's kind of that indifference that you get stuck into.
I feel like the carefree vibe that you're getting to is from the instrumental.
Yeah, that's what I was
saying. It's a big factor in feeling like this song is such like a happy, carefree, like I'm just living my best life song. But when you actually like kind of listen to the lyrics a little bit more, like you said in the beginning, there's that sense of conflict.
I like the dichotomy. Like I like songs that do that.
Like if you listen to just the instruments, you get such a different thoughts of how this. Not even necessarily only because again, you thought it was more like a carefree song even with the lyrics. The instruments really paint one picture while the vocals kind of paint another. Yeah. It just kind of feels like it jumps back and forth between like the wonderful and the mundane a little bit. Like Sunset's been a freak show, so it's like, oh, we saw this like beautiful sight. Now we're at Goodwill.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, well, the awesome things don't last when we get back to the drag.
I think Sunset, and I just did the genius annotation, it might refer to Sunset Boulevard. That was my suspicion too, because like I think that's somebody said that's where Phoebe is from.
Sunset Boulevard. Where is that? What, LA?
Yeah, California. Yeah, I do get what you're saying though about like how you're trying to get out of this funk, and by doing so you're gonna let's get out and do something, and it's not really changing anything. And I think that's kind of echoed in like the lyrics where she says, I wanted to see the world, then I flew over the ocean and I changed my mind. Yeah,
it's like you got there and it's like I still don't feel good. Yeah. You ever seen that meme where it's some guy and he's like, I had depression, so my mom said to see the world, so now I'm depressed in Egypt, and it's just this guy not smiling in front of the Sphinx.
That's funny. Yeah. And then she said the outro is, guess I lied, I'm a liar who lies because I'm a liar. Which
truly a wordsmith.
Yeah.
Not my favorite part of the song.
I feel like it's just like that is where I'm getting like the carefree who fucking cares.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like that, where it's like it's almost throwing it back at somebody like, guess I'm a liar. Like what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. But that could still come out. That could be I don't care because I'm happy, or it's I don't care because
it might be like, well, like whatever, or it could be like it's eating at you, and it's just kind of that like acceptance of it, like sure, whatever. Like,
yeah. So I feel like this is another song that could be interpreted in kind of a lot of different ways. Kind of like Landslide that you picked last week. Kind of similar.
Yeah, I think particularly for some reason the song's Jamie picks. Jack and I read different ways.
Yeah, true.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I feel like this song's a lot more upbeat than a lot of her other music. So I feel like it'd be. I know you said you wanted to get into Phoebe Bridgers.
That's going to be taken out of context, and I just would like to clarify that I'm talking about her music.
No.
We know. But anyway, it's just funny. I thought this would be a good introductory song.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
We can always listen to an album at some point.
Yeah, I do have this one on vinyl and her debut album as well.
Is that on the spinner?
I have her debut is on the spinner. This one, Punisher, is not. I was like torn between the two, but ultimately decided to put Stranger in the Alps on instead.
Punisher is an interesting name for the album that a song like this is on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like a lot of her music is darker, but it sounds so funny to have a song like this that even with like even looking at it in a more depressing way, it's still a lighter song.
Mm-hmm,
You had an album called Punisher. It was pretty intense.
Yeah. How many albums does she have?
I want to say it's just the two.
Okay. Yeah, because she hasn't been around for that long, right?
No, but she definitely features on a lot of songs. And has done like covers of songs and stuff that are on Spotify as well that I often think are even better than the originals. Like she's a pretty cool artist. So.
Oh, actually, I know that Paul McCartney, his latest record, McCartney 3, he did a version where it was all the songs covered by different artists, and one of them was Phoebe Bridgers. She did one of the songs. So
does that does it have a lot of Beatles songs on it, or is it just? No, I'm thinking of.
No, it's like McCartney solo.
Okay, I was gonna say because there's
2020.
Also an album that has one of my favorite covers on it, which is a cover of Imagine by Jack Johnson. But I think that's all Beatles songs covered by a variety of different artists. Yeah. But I do like those albums where it's like you get a bunch of different people to cover one band or one genre. I think it's much more interesting than one band doing a cover album. Those are usually like I think Weezer has like the Teal album and it's just covers, and it's like none of these are that good.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the song.
Yeah, I do like the line that says like, "I wanted to see the world through your eyes until it happened. Then I changed my mind." Like, I wonder if that's kind of relates to the drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
where it's like I want your perspective, and now that I have it, I'm like
I understand, and now like I kind of get why you do it.
Well, or it's more like I thought maybe I would gain some sympathy by like seeing the perspective, but now I'm actually looking at it and like I feel the same or worse about you.
Yeah.
You know?
I kind of took it as she was with this person who is, she kind of like idolized and put on a pedestal and thought, wow, they see the world so differently and I want to see the world like they see the world. And then once they came, to terms with they're dealing with addiction or whatever, then that's when she was like, I changed my mind. Like, I don't want to see the world the way that you see it because now I see the real you, and how you actually see the world isn't what I was expecting it to be. Yeah,
it's kind of thing of like, maybe it's not. Maybe they were expecting like, oh, you have a more real point of view and things like that. And then it's like, oh, it actually turns out you just kind of like, it's not that you see the world more clearly than everybody else. It's you see the world and you just don't deal with it that well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's also an interesting line of like, which way could it go? Like, is this like an understanding line, or is this like, all right, suck it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go either way. I thought you were going to say something.
I think all of us were about to speak.
Like,
It doesn't make me think of the story you said when you guys went to the equipment room.
Oh, yeah. Let's bring up that story.
I was like, have a good day, Chris. And Jack just looked at you and just like, wow.
Yeah. I was like,
just like, not even close.
My brain had like 3 different salutations, and I just mashed them together. It was like, and Craig was like, are you having a stroke?
He like didn't even look up, and I just remember looking at you like, are you okay? There was like 1 second where I was like actually concerned. I was like, is Jack dying?
Yeah, I don't know. That just gave off the same energy.
Yeah. Well, that tends to happen when I'm around. So.
Oh my god. Well, we'll be back next week with one of mine. That was Kyoto.
Are you having a stroke?
I am, sorry. That was Kyoto by Phoebe Bridgers. Next week will be one of mine. So like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week.
What was that?
Just trying to get by, man.